And it says we're live. We shall see. And I'm joined by the lovely Miss Rita, standing in for Ian yet again.
Stunt double.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to do any of the actual stunts.
Yeah.
I can't fly over a fence like he can.
Speaking of stunts, a couple of follow-ups on the situation in North Carolina with the entire police department quitting.
Yeah, that was quite the thing.
Well, there have been some more things come out. One of the more interesting parts is the city manager wanted the police chief at his desk at all times.
What?
And he could not go talk to her without an appointment. And the pièce de résistance was she did not want him socializing with the people in the town in public.
What?
Yes.
So she wanted like a hostile kind of spirit of enmity between the people who live there and the people who police them.
Yes.
What a jerk. So
Yeah.
so the city is aware of that. I mean, surely the people who live there now are aware of the situation, right?
Yep. And they want her gone and the police department back.
Yep. So that's a good trade-off. Has she ever managed before?
She sued Richland County down in Columbia, South Carolina for numerous things when she worked for the city down there, and somehow managed to get hired up in North Carolina. So I don't know.
Never hire lawsuit happy people.
No.
They're not going to like you more than they like the last people.
Exactly. And hello all. Yeah. And Don says, and I'm not impressed since the PD here quit too. Yeah. Well, yeah. Crazy has arrived. Less accountability is an excellent point, DW. The harvest, Doug, right now they're hurting. Everybody's hurting. We're in a drought again. So not the first time, won't be the last time. Speaking of things going rodeo, Larry Correa put up a good post this morning talking about practice and how to practice.
Oh, yeah, that was a terrific post.
And that's something a lot of people are all of a sudden deciding they need to do again. But it costs money. The price of ammo is quite a bit higher than it used to be. And he did reference something that I've known about for quite a while. And that's a little book by a friend of ours named Annette Evans. It's called The Dry Fire Primer. And Annette is a competition shooter, has been for a number of years, and worked out of Philadelphia. So most of her practice was at home. So she put out a book on how to do it. It's a very, very excellent book. Yeah. CO2 pistols are another way to do it. I use a CERT pistol, which is a pistol I bought a number of years ago for training, and it basically fires a laser. Yeah, Josh, sorry y'all are having issues out there. Seems like the temperatures go up and things break, including people's tempers on occasion.
We wouldn't know anything about that.
And the sad part here locally is our little local newspaper is closing after, 52 or 62 years?
Something like that.
Yeah. They've been a weekly paper here for well over 50 years in any case. Yeah, and yes, and O loves the laser pistol. It's a dog toy for that dog anyway. Mm. He's worse than cats.
Speaking of cats, you knew that the newspaper people were good because they always had water and food out for the wild cats, the feral cats around town. You could always find those. We would go walking at night and walk through the downtown area, and that we'd always find the little tins of cat food and drinking water, and the cats would kind of congregate in that area. But
I did notice I had little kitty paw prints near the water bottle today. I had
Aw.
a leaky water bottle sitting out front of the shop.
Yeah.
And the birds and the kitties have been indulging. So
good. I'm glad somebody got some use of that. That's what I was hoping, was that the birds could drink that water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talkeetna, Alaska has a cat as a mayor. Not surprising. It's Alaska. They do things a little differently up there.
At least they have a mayor they can respect.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Sorry.
Zing.
Speaking, actually, I threatened to tell you all a story, and this is
Go ahead.
I did not array myself in glory in this story, but it's true, and anyway, you might as well know. When I actually, this goes way back. This is the winter of 2013. I was in school, and over the school break, the winter break, I was offered a job as training as dispatcher at the local police department. And I went in, and they the first day, and they did some rudimentary training with me. But one of the things, the week before I even started working there, they had me come in. They said, we will never cut you a paycheck. We need you to get your direct deposit stuff up so admin can get all that stuff in the works before you start working.
Yeah.
So I went in and I started working, and I went in and they did a little bit of training before they had me sit down with the dispatcher. It's a very small town, pretty quiet town until I showed up. And anyway, so I started training, and the first day that I'm on the phones, the very, very first day, and they said, well, it's been very, very quiet, and so we're just going to let you, just take the first call. The first call that comes in, mind you, this is a town where nobody gets murdered. As far as I know, no rapes, no reported rapes, or what have you. It's a pretty quiet, sedate place, and so I sit down, and the very first call comes in, found a body at Middle Lake, dead body. And then the dispatcher guy who was training me said, let me get this. And he took over the call. And anyway, the call went on, and then the day was downhill from there. The body was the first thing. And then it was just like one thing after another. There was a little fire. There was, somebody who was, wanted in another state pulled over like 5 minutes after the dead body's found. And it's just, and the dead body thing, it ended up being somebody who had gotten out and fallen, possibly drinking, I don't know, maybe not, but had fallen out of a boat, even in a shallow lake, but had ended up drowning. So it was just an unfortunate thing. And don't go fishing alone, or wear a life vest or something. Or, I don't know, oxygen tanks. I don't know.
Wear a life jacket. Yes.
Something. So anyway, so that kind of set the tone. Where this is going, right? And I'm sure that I didn't do everything perfectly. There was one person on the very small police force who apparently had an abject hatred of me instantly for some reason. And anyway, but she's dead now. Anyway. This is tea. Anyway, so I continued to work there or train. And the weird thing was, after I'd been there a few weeks, I noticed that the direct deposit had not come into my account. And they made such a big production of it. And anyway, I went and said, my direct deposit didn't show up. What's going on? And they said, oh, we cut you a check. And do you know, they never did set up my direct deposit for some reason. And then about I don't know. And they told me when they first hired me, they told me that it would take probably 4 months till I really got up to speed. And about 6 weeks in, the manager of the police station, the police department, whatever, told me, she sat down with me and said, "You're a shit magnet." I had never heard a shit magnet. Have you heard of shit magnets?
Oh, yes.
And and the thing is that I would come in. Sorry about that. I need to turn off my phone. I had come in. I would come in. I came in one day on a Monday, and they kept the record of the calls in some kind of a ledger, just a spiral bound ledger book. And the guy said, "Oh, I just started this book on Friday, and look," and he was still on the first page. No calls, like almost no calls. It must have been like a morgue there all weekend. And I sit down, ring, ring, ring. The phone just rang nonstop. It was just like the minute my butt hit the seat. And I'm sure I didn't do everything perfectly, but I also don't feel like people were very invested in helping me get up to speed. And maybe I'm not a good personality type for it. Maybe it's just not a good fit. Maybe I am, in fact, a shit magnet. But the funny thing was that
How you're a magpie?
okay, is Magpie incompatible with police dispatching?
Probably.
Okay, oops. Well, anyway, if you didn't hear, Jonna just said that I'm a magpie, and I asked, and she said it's probably incompatible. But anyway, it was disappointing. It was really, really annoying. And then in retrospect, I realized that first week that I was working there, the person who was training me started telling me that her sister had really hit a bad patch and had just gotten fired, and it was a disaster, and they didn't know what they were going to do and all this stuff. And then like months later, after they had let me go and said, it's not working out. That's how they fired me. It's not working out. And I hadn't even reached the 2-month mark. And I said, but you said that it could take 3 to 4 months to get up to speed. And she said, yeah, it's just not a good fit. And anyway, so the funny thing was, some months after, like not long after I was no longer employed there, I found out the sister of the person who was training me got hired as the new dispatcher.
What a surprise.
Quelle surprise. Anyway, so whatever. But
Yeah.
that's disappointing. It's embarrassing, and I'm sorry to like talk about a failure, a personal failure. I probably dodged a bullet there. I mean, the whole shit magnet thing, I don't get it. I don't get it. But you've seen people
Oh, yeah.
like, and what do you do with those people? Do you move them around? Do you find them a different position?
Yeah,
Or
you shuffle them off to some place where they can't hurt anybody else when the shit hits the fan, as it inevitably does. I mean, we had them in the squadrons over the years, and it was always that one person.
Carl.
Yeah, yeah. Carl is a reality.
It just happens.
Yeah, and it's as Sarah says, it's really not your fault.
Oh,
You got caught up in small town politics.
mm.
That's the bottom line.
And her sister needed a job.
Yep. Yeah, there are always those people that are going to, everything that can go wrong will go wrong with them. As
That is my entire life with computers.
as Tom says, welcome to S3. If you're in the military, you know what that is.
Okay, so explain it to the rest of us.
S3, basically, let me go look it up just to make sure I'm right.
So you should say hello since you just joined us.
Hello. Yeah, road crews.
I know the whole like construction on the way here is like hello. So
Well, and the fact they weren't letting traffic through in either direction for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
oh, charming.
Yeah.
S3 is known as the operations office. And that is when you work in operations, which thankfully I dodged in most cases. It's the best laid plans of mice and men go
Pear-shaped.
pear-shaped about 30 seconds after the flight schedule is printed or the operations order is issued. And you're constantly behind the 8 ball. And it's even worse when you have an assistant ops officer who is more concerned about looking good than he is about getting things done.
Oh, you mean he's from the Air Force?
I wish that son bitch had been in the Air Force. Anyway, we were out in the Atlantic on deployment in Bermuda. Afghan galley, yeah, that's pretty much it. And we at one point had 12 Russian submarines in the box in our op area. Now, yeah, we had 12 crews, but they wanted us on top of these boats because this was a surge.
That's a lot of subs.
Yeah, a lot of subs, and they were both attack subs and ballistic subs.
And
So
to
there's
be
a
clear,
balancing act of which ones you follow where.
And were you on one boat or was it like several following these subs? Just one? One ship, I should say.
We were out there basically in the airplanes.
Oh, airplanes.
We were doing all of the other work because there wasn't anybody else out there.
Fun.
Yeah. So we'd set up a schedule to cover X, Y, and Z boats. Well, as soon as we did that, published the schedule, higher authority would change it to go, oh, we want you to monitor A, B, and C today. Well, that changed all the flight times.
Mhm.
So now that changed the crew rest. So that changed the next crew cycle. And it literally got to the point that crews were walking in the morning going, where the fuck am I going today? Because you literally had no idea. You would come out of crew rest, walk in the office, go, okay, where am I going? What am I doing? You know, who's on first? And it went like that for about 3 weeks. But the other good one was actually happened to a friend of mine. Was on top of the Yankee that blew a missile tube in off the East Coast. His crew was on top when that happened. And there are certain cues that you're taught as now a submarine warfare operator about missile launches.
Mm-hmm.
So his operators heard the right cues to a missile launch precursor, which immediately got called in.
I would hope so.
The problem was they had no weapons on the airplane. So they are literally trying to decide whether to make a low pass and possibly knock the missile out of the air if it's launched or what they're going to do next. Well, that set the entire East Coast on its ear. And everybody that could get a bird in the air was tasked. Plus people were loading weapons and various other things. So basically the entire East Coast went, yeah, all right, you know, whoever can get in the air first with a weapon goes. Things like that.
Well, that's
Yeah.
just not disconcerting at all.
Yeah.
What year was this?
This was 86.
Oh boy.
So there are, you know, and this particular assistant ops officer was about useless as hits on a board. And when this all went down, he was on duty. He didn't bother to call a CO. He didn't bother to call maintenance because we weren't in the ready cycle. So we were the one squadron that didn't get notified of what was going on until quite a bit later. Yeah.
Did he face any consequences for this?
Not really. Because he was an academy type and the CO was an academy type. So his butt was covered.
Ring knockers.
Golden parachute.
Yeah.
Ring knocker assholes.
No,
Yeah.
I think not calling an alert on a possible nuclear launch is a platinum parachute.
Yeah. Ring knockers. And yes, as Rick says, that's a part of the Navy I don't miss. Neither do I. Trust me.
What does ring knocker mean for people who don't know?
That's for the academy. All the academies have big rings.
Oh,
So they inadvertently hit it on the table.
Well, they also, you know, it's a if you have a ring, you're super special and
Yeah.
deserve more respect than everybody else because you are the elite.
My
Ask me about
dying
my
ass.
goddamn brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So
Jerry, most of our flights, we were technically unarmed. Yeah, DW Academy grad Knox's ring is a get out of jail free card.
assholes.
Yeah. 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 Well, our squadron was a little different because about a third of the junior officers in the squadron, and at one point the XO, were all Mustangs. So the ring knockers did not like us at all.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, DW, the thing is, the chiefs and NCOs will take care of the ring knockers, and the ring knockers will never know it. They'll never know what hit them, and it is absolutely hilarious to watch.
Oh, you meant take care of.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to get James on here one day too. James Young. Now, and James is a ring knocker, but he's also a PhD historian, writes some damn good books, and he works for Command Staff College up at Leavenworth.
So he has actual things to recommend to him.
Yes. And we have discussed history a couple of times. Yeah, McChuck, you're exactly right. That brings up another interesting point. We had one of our ring knockers in the squadron at that time decided he didn't like flying, so he got out after his initial tour. He went and did some stuff on a boat for a couple of years and got out and went back to law school. And he is a partner in a major law firm in New York City, senior partner. And he deals with maritime law. And he came to the symposium in Jacksonville this year. And he admitted, he said, I screwed up. And we're all looking at him going, you're making 7 figures every year. He says, yeah. He said, but I don't have any friends. I don't have anybody I can call on if I need them. He said, I haven't seen you guys in 30 plus years. And he said, all you assholes are still friends and still have stuff in common. And you've seen each other. He said, this is the first time I've seen you in 30 years. He said, I would trade what I have now for what you guys have now. We're all going, damn, okay. Difference in perspective. Yeah. Dawn, it's because you're good.
What did she ask?
She says, why is it every time I want to try to listen, everybody wants to talk to you?
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, she's at work.
yeah. Such are the perils of being a dispatcher.
A
However,
successful dispatcher.
well,
Are you having a shit magnet moment? Is the question.
she has enough of those.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Rita, you just like sent it out into the universe, and now.
Yeah. And Bill does bring up a good point. It is a perspective thing. The bonds from those days are more than you can get in anything in civilian world. You know, and yeah, and you can't hardly trust anybody in the civilian world. I mean, by comparison.
Yeah,
Combat buddies are closer than any family will ever be.
it would have to be.
And that's what people don't understand is, you know, you literally are trusting your life to those people, whether it's the other person in the foxhole with you or that crew that you fly with. That is, you know, they have your life in their hands and you have their lives in your hands. And that engenders a certain level of trust that you don't normally get in the civilian world.
It also weeds out the bad ones really quickly.
Yeah, friends help you move. Real friends help you move a body. Yeah. And Rick, yes, it is the same with the submarine crew. Because all it takes is one person on a boat to screw up, and you don't come back. The true friends will show up with shovels and lime. Hell, I've just got friends that'll show up with a backhoe and 5,000 acres. Makes it a lot easier. But the part of it too is the perceptions. And this is one of the things, and you did it some in your writing, how you portray that trust. Especially in your novella,
Mhm.
the trust between your familiar.
Yeah.
And that's I think part of something that's hard to grasp. It's hard to.
It's something like ESP, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is this. You've got to have an understanding of how the other person would react and know what you can do to take up the slack to assist them, and vice versa, in a way. And you need to work like a well-oiled machine when things are really crappy. And maybe that's why it's good you don't have someone like me as a dispatcher.
No, no, you are steady. You don't freak easily.
No, I don't.
And that's extremely important.
Mm,
The people that worry me are the people that will freeze.
yeah.
You see it on the roads every day.
Yep.
And Jonna has a statement.
Actors. Oh my God. 30 years in theater. I mean, the world could be, we could have a tornado coming right now. And I'd be going, okay, guys, let's go deal with this. Because, oh my God, actors.
Yeah.
What,
Poor-
actors
poor
are
little
drama
things.
queens?
Oh my God.
Well, they're doing okay as long as somebody else has written a script for them.
Perish the thought they actually think for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to know that the people are going to be there for you.
Mm,
And I think to an extent we have that with our group that we're forming,
We do.
mhm.
because we do lean on each other. And we are learning everybody's quirks, interesting as some of them are.
That's one way to put it.
I don't know what you mean.
I'll show myself out.
I really don't know a lot about the military in general. But my dad was in the Army. He was drafted in the 60s. And I asked my mom, the one thing I know about Dad in the Army, I mean, besides him being in Panama and working on planes and stuff like that, was I asked her how long I was born after Dad got home from the Army. And she said, oh, about 9 months and 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yep. Oh,
They were young.
yep. Yeah, DW. Yeah, there's always the people that are going to run for the gunfire, and there are people that are going to freeze. And yes. Dawn, I'm not going there. Don't have work. Sure.
So you're not going to read what she said? I'm going to have to find it.
I'm completely normal and sane. Yeah, you're sane for versions of sane.
Compared to whom?
Yeah.
That's always important.
That's standard.
And Sarah says, kids are like medals. You get one after every deployment.
Well, that's true.
Actually, a friend of mine could nail down to the minute when his daughter was conceived. Because he was stationed over in Spain, in Rota,
Well, right. Yeah.
and got home for less than 2 hours. And it was lunchtime. And his wife made him a sandwich. And he ate the sandwich on the airplane as they left. And 9 months to the day later, they had a little girl. Now, she did have, his wife did have some quirks. That she had friends in the States sending her VCR tapes of commercials. Because AFARTs back in the day did not have commercials. And this girl missed commercials.
Wow.
Okay.
She'd love YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, OB nurse for the Air Force. Oh, yes. Yeah, there are.
Yeah, Rick's right. I guess the commercials are a good way to stay current with popular culture at home.
True, to some extent.
Well,
It is, but I anymore it feels like commercials are trying to shape perceptions. It's not
Oh
a
yeah.
reflection of culture. They're trying
Yeah.
to project something onto everyone.
well, isn't that what media is doing in general? Is projecting?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because that wasn't actually true even 10 years ago. There was a book by a guy who did commercials. I can't remember his name or the name of the book, but the one part I remember is he got a commercial on videotape in the mail in the 80s with the cover letter saying this is a semiotic breakthrough. And, read it, and they were going for all the awards, clearly. And he said, wow, this is going to suck. And he was right. Company went out of business less than a year later because nobody bought.
Tom,
Wow.
if you were doing it in a skiff, that's a new one.
Doing what in a skiff?
Making the baby for the
Making
next
the baby in the
deployment.
skiff.
Rocking the boat, motion in the ocean.
Yeah.
Lots of comments there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know people that drink in the skiff routinely. Hell, they had the best bar in the squadron usually.
What better place to deploy your little swimmers?
Yeah, well, behind the green door.
Is a military skiff the same as a civilian skiff? Because I'm thinking of a very small, very unstable boat.
No,
Okay.
skiff is a secure compartmented information facility.
Okay. I
Yeah.
was thinking of completely the wrong thing.
Yeah, I was picturing that little boat from The Meaning of Life. The little.
Well, maybe a little bigger than that. Skiffs can be like 20 feet, but not something you want to dance in.
And here we go with the differences between military terminology and everybody else in the world.
I apologize.
We're the bridge. We're bridging. We're bringing unity to.
Well, all right, I'll throw this out. What's the first thing you think of when I say CPA?
Certified public accountant.
For me, it's closest point of approach. Because that's what I worried about for 20 some odd years.
Mm-hmm.
That and I couldn't afford a CPA. Certified public accountant.
We live in different worlds sometimes.
Yeah. Brennan, it was AFARTS. Armed Forces Radio Television. The Electric Chicken, yeah.
Oh, you guys had television. When I was over at Brother, we didn't have television or even phones. So
Well, you lived out in town too. You didn't
Yeah,
live on base.
we were out in Cadiz because there was no room on base.
Yeah.
So,
I've got a question. Sorry, this is a complete subject change, but is it true that Pence is running for president?
It depends on what is it, Tuesday? Probably.
If it is, he's not going to get far.
I think he needs to just stop that.
I don't know. He'd be good for comedy because everybody's going to laugh their asses off that he thinks he has a chance.
Yeah, Bogsat's another one. Bunch of guys sitting around talking. Guys in the retrospective term, male and female, just people talking.
it's a universal term.
Yeah. Did you hear about Tulsi Gabbard calling the Biden administration on reaching out to free Tulsi Gabbard?
Yeah.
It's Tulsi to free the basketball player in Russia.
Oh,
Sorry,
no, I didn't.
Tulsi called them on it and said, "Oh, if you're going to reach out to Russia to release her from prison for having a marijuana product, then what are you going to do to intervene for the millions of people incarcerated in the United States for marijuana?"
Yeah.
And it's a good point. It's a
Mhm.
really good point.
Well, she hits all the buttons for the left. And, they're talking about her, but they don't talk about the guy that's the former Marine that's been over there 3 years in prison without a trial yet.
I don't even know about him.
Yeah.
In
Wagner.
Russia?
He's been over there 3 years in prison,
What do they have him for?
supposedly spying.
Of course.
He was over there for a company to do something, and I don't remember what now. But he got picked up as a spy because he's a former Marine.
Do you remember the 90s when there was a son of a diplomat in Singapore who went out
Got
and
caned.
vandalized? He spray painted something.
Oh yeah, and he got
got
caned.
caned. Yeah,
Yes.
there's a big controversy about it, but I felt that was entirely appropriate. I felt like he got off easy. He didn't have to,
Yes.
I mean, it could have been way worse.
He has been interviewed since and asked if he would ever do that again. He said, hell no.
There you go.
So it worked.
I think Antifa would definitely benefit from that particular punishment.
Oh yeah, Doug.
Antifa would benefit from fatal beatings.
Farming practices in the Panhandle, pretty much like farming practices everywhere else. They're going to be using large scale equipment, combines, harvesters, a lot of cotton up that way.
One of the things, though, that I've noticed since I moved out west of DFW is that a lot of the outfits, it depends on the size of the farm, but most of them have a crew who comes in and does the harvest.
Yeah.
And so you'll see that if you see a cafe in this region of Texas, anywhere in the country, and you see a lot of farm equipment out, there's a harvest crew there eating, so you know it's good food. It's
Yep.
probably the best cafe in the place in the region. So.
Yes.
They'll go and they will, I guess they contract and they move. I mean, they bring millions and millions of dollars of equipment, and some of these harvesters are extraordinary, and so they just move from one farm to another and they do whatever the harvesting task is. So not many, if you're talking about present day, I think the smaller the outfit, the more likely they're going to have a crew come in and do that for them.
Yep.
I don't know about past practices, and I'm sure everybody has some kind of tractor and equipment like that, to at least a minimum of that stuff. But the harvesting, from what I've seen, has almost always been itinerant crews.
Yeah, 20 years ago, one of my high school classmates, he and a couple others bought a combine to use locally.
Mm.
But this is 20 years ago when they were smaller. Now, you're right. It's itinerant crews, and they'll start basically in Texas, and they'll go all the way to the Canadian border, sometimes even into Canada, continually harvesting.
It's not that different from, I mean, the fruit tramps of the Depression era. A lot of my family from Arkansas would go. They'd hit Southern California at the time of harvest, and they'd go up the West Coast and follow the harvest and work. There were people of all nationalities, and there were a lot of Central and South American people, and then of course you have a lot of Arkies and Okies who went, and I'm sure it was a really tough time, so it makes sense. It was very Grapes of Wrath level moment. But a lot of my family ended up settling in California, and I have cousins up in Washington State. A lot of them still work in the fruit industry, but called them fruit tramps. There was a joke that if you see in the like, I guess 30s, 40s, 50s, if you saw a car heading toward California with a mattress on the roof, they were Okies. And if there were bare feet sticking out of the window, they were, and a mattress on the roof, they were Arkies. So, yeah, bare feet.
Yeah, 6 of one, half dozen the other. Apparently, your setting the cup down is annoying people.
Oh, sorry.
Here,
Is it making?
it's making noise and it's rattling the
I'm sorry.
microphone. So
Yeah, that's one of the things that's changed but not changed. The itinerant crop pickers still exist. They may be a little bit better paid today, but they are travelers.
Mhm.
They're going to move where the harvest is. And one of the things that California is seeing is they're going away from the fruit crops to the tree crops, to the almond trees.
They're more hardy for the weather and the drought.
well, part of the problem in California is when they were protecting the tiny little fish.
Yeah, the
They
smell.
cut off the water to major almond farms. And when I was driving from Eugene down to San Francisco, there were just miles and miles and miles of dead trees.
Yeah.
Because they didn't do anything to save them while they were trying to solve the issue. So
Well, what they've done is they've cut all the walnut trees down now
Yeah.
and replaced them with almonds.
yep, does different things. Plus the filbert orchards, also known as hazelnuts up
Yeah.
in Oregon. A bunch of people have gotten rid of their grass seed fields and put in hazelnut orchards because they have the water.
Yeah.
California doesn't. So
And the
Yeah.
other thing they're doing is expanding the grape orchards for the wineries.
Yeah.
Up by where my youngest daughter lives, Clear Lake, Kelseyville area, used to be known for their walnuts and pecans. Now there's not a single grove of them left. And they're coming in plowing up hillsides and planting grapes everywhere.
That's where the money is.
Yeah, that's a good point, RK. So-called California fruits and vegetables come in from Mexico and are repackaged and then sent out.
Cedar said some of her mom's family were itinerant fruit harvesters. I about lost my crud with a college professor claiming no white people picked strawberries. Like, lady, they didn't get whiter than us. Both my parents picked cotton.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what in the South, poor small farmers.
Yeah.
They, my parents, my dad, his whole family would go out and pick peaches for people. They picked cotton. They did all that stuff, and it's tough work. And it's funny. Well, anyway, I won't go on that. I'm not going to go down that road any further.
Yeah. Running up I-5 through California is really saddening. I made that drive a few times. I've actually picked cotton as a kid because my grandmother wanted me to know what it felt like, and it was not fun. I'm here to tell you. And itched. Oh my God, I itched.
Was that from the cotton or from the seeds?
Both.
Okay.
You know, you
Plants
got
are
a
scratchy. They've got
Yeah.
thorns.
burlap sack over your shoulder, and you're picking and throwing, picking and throwing, picking and throwing. And I want to say it was 50 cents for a 100-pound bag. And when it got heavy enough, as a kid, you'd drag it back over and they'd weigh it and dump it out and then give you the bag back and you'd go back and do it again. But to do that 8-10 hours a day,
Yeah, not fun.
no. I mean, it's no wonder a lot of those people died in their 40s and 50s, if they lived that long. Yeah, 15% ethanol for fuel, and they're trying to mandate it now. And the corn harvest is not good. Plus the fact that if you grow corn for ethanol, that is not feed corn.
Nope.
So you can't eat it unless it's processed, which drives up the price. Well, yeah, Tom, can see to can't see. Depending on where you are, 8 to 10 hours a day. Jana is making more capes.
Yep.
Yeah, they got to do something to cover the oil reserves they sold to China. That still just friggin' amazes me. I don't know which amazes me more, that or the fact that Dr. Deborah Birx admitted yesterday or day before yesterday that they knew that the vaccines did not work.
The admission is a little amazing, but I mean, it's been clear that they knew for a year or more.
Yeah, but to have her
Yeah.
come out and admit they knew day one the vaccines did not work as advertised.
Mhm.
And they kept pushing that shit.
Because perception is more important than reality. In fact, to most of them, perception is reality.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's all about compliance.
Yeah, but what version of compliance? Yeah, that's That's really the question. Is it compliance or control?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
That was not the answer I was looking
The
for.
answer you were going for.
They don't view any difference, so I don't see why we should make a distinction either.
Well, for all the, and sorry, let me get out. I forgot my aluminum hat, my tinfoil hat here. But for all the people who say that, I hear a lot of people talking about, and I'm hoping they're wrong, that that the vaccines are intended to. Do I need to be careful what I say here? Does it matter?
You have to be careful because it's YouTube.
Well, Frank is watching. But
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Have another drink.
Yeah. Sorry, your job sucks. Anyway, what didn't make sense to me about there were people who feel that that when people take the magic, that it will compromise them or possibly cause them to expire prematurely. And I'm trying to be dainty about this. But anyway,
Well, that's been basically proven already.
yeah, but the weird thing about that is then what you've got left are the people who are uncooperative. That doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, if what you want is people who to go along to get along, then the people who refuse to go along are you'd have a greater concentration of those. That seems strategically
No,
weak.
you have to have an enemy to point to for everyone else to hate. This is totalitarianism
Ooh,
101.
ouch,
Well,
ouch.
yeah, and they are pointing at the red states now.
Yes. And they were trying to make everyone hate the unvaccinated 6 months ago. That didn't fly.
So where was it that this woman admitted? What's her name again?
Deborah
Birx.
Burks.
Deborah
She,
Burke, she was the initial doctor out there with Fauci and Trump.
Yeah.
And she excused herself to go spend more time with her family. I think she just couldn't stand the lies anymore.
Yeah.
So
But has she admitted now that it doesn't work because she feels guilty, or is she just like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? Is she,
pretty much,
The
yeah. What are
latter.
you going to do about it?
wow.
Kind of like Janet Yellen. Yeah, I was wrong, but I'm still going to be head of the Fed because why not?
Well, yeah, that and, redefining the recession yet again. Let me see. Carter did that. Clinton did that. Clinton changed the way the cost of living index was reported.
and he
Mhm.
shut down the forests and destroyed the West Coast.
When you start adding all this up, there are two United States these days.
Oh yeah.
I'm firmly convinced of that. There's a blue U.S. and a red U.S. Yeah, we're flyover country. Yeah, we have less population than the blues do.
And the blues are the goddamn colonizers destroying everything.
And it's coming to a head.
Mhm.
And I think sooner than a lot of people want to admit.
This winter or earlier.
Well, I think this election, we know people that say there'll never be another fair election. But I think this election this November may be the breaking point.
I was thinking more in terms of food and supply lines because the harvest and everything is going to suck.
Yeah.
And then supply chains are broken, but it could be the election. The interesting thing there is it's a midterm.
Yeah.
So they can't do the cheat in 4 places and win the whole thing.
But how much can they cheat in each state?
Good
And what
question.
states do we know or have a good guess that they're going to cheat in?
Georgia.
Oh, I think there's cheating always every election to
Oh,
some
sure.
degree. But
But the scale that they have to do it at to overcome the anger this year is impressive.
it will be.
Yeah, and Jesse says they overplayed their hands so everybody knows what to watch for.
And they're not smart enough to change tactics.
Yeah, and RK said not much is coming out of California because the Indy truckers are not allowed to run there now.
Yep.
So now you have the backups increasing at the docks again. So anything supposedly coming out of China,
Yeah.
is not. DW, I have no friggin' answer for Washington. That's your state. You know it. I don't.
What did he ask about Washington?
How much can they cheat in Washington?
A lot.
Oh, they have Seattle. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, they already went through that with because they have mail-in, and if you want to hear about it, talk to Eric. The whole nonsense about how they just kept recounting and finding things until they got the right senator that they wanted.
Yeah, right set of numbers. Yeah. Yeah, that's another one, DW. No death for the diesels. There is a company in our region who is making a butt ton of money turning off that alert on new diesel trucks and diesel cars.
What alert?
The DEF alert. If you run out of DEF, it'll make your vehicle go to 5 miles an hour maximum.
What is deaf?
Yeah.
Diesel something.
Fluid.
Anyway, it's basically urine added to the catalytic converter to do away with the pollution from diesels.
It's called diesel exhaust fluid.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
They
you.
added in to make it fit the carbon emissions, and
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous. So
The funny part is most of the ammonia and urea for that come out of, guess where? Ukraine
Oh,
and Europe, which is not shipping.
How are they harvesting that? Do they have everyone pee into a jug, or is it cow? Is it cattle? Or
Cattle primarily.
that seems like it would be quite a process to separate that from other. I mean, unless they're running around unless they've catheterized a bunch of cows.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems
Well,
like
it's more than just urine, but it's
yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
You'd have some little sludgy bits from other things that get mixed in, I would imagine.
no,
But
it's
the-
a refined chemical.
I'm
so.
joking. But
yeah, the majority of it is not coming from the US, it's coming from Europe. All the components.
that reminds me, a dear friend of mine lived in, she's not a deer, she's deer, DEAR, not, anyway.
not in the headlights.
She lived off grid, had a really neat ranch out in another state west of here. And they had a toilet that was special where actually they had one toilet for number 2 and one toilet for number 1. And, have you ever been sick where everything, like, you're like going from you're vomiting and all? I mean,
Every orifice
It's like-
simultaneously. Yeah.
she said the nightmare would be like if you had to do both and you had to decide which one you were going to do first. So you go to that toilet. And then
Run next door to the other one.
at some point, I'd just be like, this is going to be an outdoor moment. It's
Yeah.
just going to happen. Because you shall not piss. Anyway,
All right, Bill, take care and have a good week.
bye, Bill.
Somebody had to figure out how to milk the bull.
Ugh.
There was a meme last week, 2 weeks ago, about why all of the cows on the milk crate were female names.
I saw that.
And it's
That's
like,
terrible.
really? You have to ask?
Sexist.
It was a thing from Twitter, and the first response was, I feel like yogurt from a bull just wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's so gross.
It's
Maybe the bull identifies as lactating.
How dare you assume the gender? Anyway.
Josh, you go right ahead and milk that bull. Yeah.
Just no.
Put on some soft lighting and beautiful music and make cow eyes at him.
No, these days it's dubstep and really strong bass.
That's it. Yeah.
Tom goes, milk a bull and you made a friend for life. Yeah.
I'm thinking not.
Hey.
Well, I don't know. That could be handy, you know, in some battles. If the bull really likes you and somebody gets in your face, you know, I'd like you to meet my boyfriend.
And Courtney goes, that's somebody's fetish.
I'm
Rule
sure it
40, is it Rule 34?
Yeah.
Rule 34.
Yeah.
It's a Dirty Jobs episode.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Not as bad as the sheep one, though.
Yeah, the backlash on it on trans once the pendulum, and it's starting to come back. Once the pendulum swings back, it's going to be ugly. You know, a little German. Yeah,
Oh my god.
He's sitting over there.
that's about as bad as the joke about the walnuts costing $5 a pound, and the deer nuts are under $1.
Ah, waka, waka, waka.
There's a song in there somewhere.
Wait, the people who milk the bulls are called ejaculators, farm girl, Dawn?
They are.
Ah.
How do you think they get the sperm to do the artificial insemination with?
That's what we need to call those water bottles.
Ejaculators.
The bottles that are so full that when you open them, they just go everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, you try, and we used to refer to them as teenage boys, but we should call them ejaculators.
You were a little more specific than that.
14-year-olds.
Yes.
14-year-old bottle.
That reminds me of a story.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
So we're going to be here for 30 more minutes. Not really. When I was, I don't know, whenever this was, you can all find it on like Google, Leap of Faith, that movie with Steve Martin.
About
When-
91.
When they were filming that, not about 91, when they were filming that, they were filming it in the Dallas area. They were filming at the studios in Las Colinas, and they needed people for the big tent crowd scene at the end of the movie. And they were asking for volunteers to go be in the crowd scene and ask people to donate their money to their pay for the day to Montessori schools. So I got my mom and dad. I said, hey, let's go do this. It'll be fun. And we go in there. It was the summer. It was a hot summer, and it was bloody boiling they had all the lights and everything. We're in the giant tent scene at the end of the movie, the big, you know,
Tent revival.
I was going to say climax. It was the crotch of the movie. Anyway, so we're like, we're there and we're kind of at the back and we're dressed in like, you know, Texas, you know, 80s, 90s, you know, kind of go to church, you know, or tent revival kind of wear the things. We're at the back and we have chairs, but it's very, very hot. And there's so much time in between the takes. And so what they did was they came around, they brought bottles of water to everybody. And we're on a row, like behind a couple of other rows, and then there was a big aisle in front of those people a couple of rows ahead, and we're just hanging around, talking and laughing like everyone is, and we're mostly sitting there. But this one young woman on the front of that row by the aisle turned around, and she had an extra water bottle. She turned around and she just sloshed it, and this huge rope of water came just like, you know, angling back and like splattered us pretty soundly. And I was so pissed. I was very, very mad because I was already hot enough. I didn't want to be wet on top of it. And it was just bloody rude. So I was sitting there steaming, and my dad, being the clever dude he was, and I'm holding, and they'd given everybody 2 bottles. So I have an extra bottle of water. He said, hand me that bottle, Rita. And he pulls out his pocket knife and he bored a little bitty hole in the tip of this.
squeeze.
And so what we did was we're standing there, and we're standing on our chairs, and the girls, you know, just right up ahead. We're standing on the chairs, and that way I had a like clear shot at her and everything. And I took it, and I'm a pretty good shot. I've got aim. I gotta say that. I soaked that heifer, and when she turned around, I was like this, holding my water bottle, the cap's on. It wasn't me. She turned around and she had the nastiest look on her face. For some reason, she didn't like when somebody doused her with water. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. Anyway, yeah, petty and bilious.
I've seen
say.
you shoot. You're a good shot.
All right.
I am not going to argue with you.
You should see me with a water bottle. I'm good with squirty things.
And now Jim is broken.
You
and
broke
our hour
Jim.
is up.
You know, some days it just does not pay to chew through the straps.
Oh, honey. if you
Don't
can
sweat
shoot
the
through
petty
straps,
stuff
the
and
straps
don't
are
pet
good
the
enough.
squirty stuff.
So,
Yeah.
Somebody
And
said soak
make
that
su-
heifer should be a new button.
Yeah, it's McChucks.
okay, we'll add that to the North Texas Troublemakers.
We brought it back
Oh.
around from
Courtney's
the bull.
listening, so
Yeah.
Milk that bull, soak that heifer. North Texas Troublemakers, milking bulls and soaking heifers since 2021.
Oh my God. And we wasted another hour of your time. Damn. And remember, folks, don't sweat the petty stuff and don't pet the sweaty stuff.
Bye.
We'll see
Bye.
you later. Bye bye.